game change, yeah. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. I do not gamble, but bet on me. Tell them that's life, yeah, it's still love it. I'm taking a shot for my enemies. I can't waste no more time on my energy. I know they not got it on lock. Go against me, that's a long shot. Cause I'm counting wins all around the clock. Never doubt me, boy, I don't stop. Who do you feel when they make you the monster? I am not scared of none of you imposters. Taking the lead now while they watching. Think you should leave now while the option. Taking no wells, yeah, I gotta win. Watch me kick down the doors, they won't let me in. We're running the game now. Foot on the gas, can slow down, no.
Welcome to another edition of the It's Cavalier podcast. It's your boy Mac, and today on this most special of days, our Cleveland Cavaliers took on the Phoenix Suns, and we're going to break it down like we always do. We're going to react, but with today being MLK Day, I feel compelled to give thanks and express my sincerest appreciation for the work and profound impact that Dr. King has had on our country 60 plus years later. Right? Without the work of probably the most influential civil rights activist in America's history, honestly, I might not even have this platform, let alone my life, ladies and gentlemen. And I am not kidding when I say that. I am of mixed descent. My father, a black man who I share a name with. My mother, half white, half Mexican. I can't even fathom what the world would look like without the work of this man and others like him. Dr. King frankly had a dream, but to be honest, I'm not sure even he himself could imagine how far we've come as a country. And of course, there's still a lot of work to be done. It is not a perfect country by any means. But thanks to his efforts, I live in a world in which I don't have to necessarily leave my home in fear that I may not be welcome in certain areas. So on this day, I just want to say thank you, Dr. King. All that being said, we got to discuss some basketball, right? We got some basketball to discuss. Cavs, Suns. The Cavaliers, fresh off a dominant victory over the Minnesota Timberwolves, in which Donovan Mitchell got his groove back, entered once again without the services of Evan Mobley and Isaac Okoro for the second straight game. Karis LeVert, another big rotation piece, missed the game as well, his seventh absence of the year. And because of that, we got a pretty fun lineup. Ladies and gentlemen, Max Strus was pushed into the starting lineup for the first time since May 15th, 2024. That was Game 5 of the Eastern Conference semis against Boston, in case you were wondering. Nearly, 8-9 months ago, right? 8 to 9 months has passed since then. And it just felt like a jolt of much needed energy, at least in my opinion, because I've been waiting. I've been waiting to see when Strus would make the first start of this season. The Suns entered as winners of their last 2 games and 6-4 over their last 10. And I'm going to keep it real with you guys. The Suns, they're a team that in years past, I would have legitimately had worries about facing, but that just is not the case anymore. They are a far cry from what they once were during their short title contention window. Still, they have some special individual talents in the likes of Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and yes, even Bradley Beal. They are a big reason why Phoenix is still a highly rated offense on most nights. They ranked 10th at 114.2 coming into tonight. But while they boast a highly rated defense, they have a very, and I mean very, vulnerable defense that has been attacked time and time again this season. As a result, they are ranked 22nd in defensive rating at 115.3. That said, I mean, having KD, who was averaging 27.4 points, 6.4 rebounds, and 4.2 assists this season, and Booker, who was averaging 25.8 and 6.7 and 4, that's a pretty big deal. That's a tough thing to try and stymie from an individual standpoint. So I was really, really wondering how the Cavaliers would contain a pair of top 15 scorers in Durant and Booker. And so the key to me came on the opposite end, right? You got to attack their weakness. As I said, They are a very, very vulnerable defense. They allow opponents to score 114.3 points per game this season, which is the 10th most in the NBA. Now, a big part of that comes from within the painted area, where Phoenix surrenders a rather high amount of points, 49 to be exact, the 9th most in the league. So attacking the heart of the defense, where they really have not had an interior rim protector or rim deterrent for much of the season. Yusuf Nurkic is not that. Mason Plumlee is not that. That said, Phoenix recognized that, and they went out and acquired a piece that I think in due time can absolutely help them in that area, and that is Nick Richards, who had let's just say he struggled today. He had a poor performance, to say the least. But Richards had a phenomenal debut with Phoenix, putting up a 21 point, 11 rebound double-double in his debut not so long ago. He was efficient as well, going 7 of 8 from the field and drew a ton of contact, earning 8 attempts at the charity stripes. And that 7 foot with the ability to protect the rim, Richards was sorely needed for them. So props to them for pulling the trigger on that move. But this was not Richards' day. Richards absolutely had a horrific day. Just 4 points, 4 rebounds, 2 of 4 from the field, committed a pair of costly turnovers, committed 5 personal fouls. It was a rough game. It was truly a rough game for one Nick Richards. And with that being said, the Cavs, they have the means to attack the heart of the defense, even without Mobley. So I was really hoping to see them antagonize the Suns inside, whether that be off of dribble penetration that numerous players on the roster are clearly capable of generating, or simply just getting the ball to Jarrett Allen in the low post and letting him go to work. And I saw this being an opportunity to get Allen, frankly, some touches within the flow of the offense with Mobley being out. And just as a bit as a side note, almost every game that Mobley has missed time this season, Georges Niang has been a big beneficiary of minutes and attempts. And in the 3 games that Mobley had missed, Niang's averages seemingly are up across the board, in which he put up 13.7 rebounds and is completing 60.9% of his field goals, including 56.3% from 3-point distance in the games without Mobley out there. And so that being the case, I'm like, okay, Mobley's out. Who's going to get those touches? Who's going to get those attempts? And I was hoping to see Jarrett Allen and a number of other Cavaliers kind of get the touches spread around in Mobley's absence, much like we saw the other game against Minnesota. But man, it felt like this was a wire-to-wire victory. It felt truly like it was a wire-to-wire victory for this Cavaliers team, as they built as much as, if I'm not mistaken, man, they were up there. They were up there today. The lead really, really ballooned. They had as much as a 32-point lead. And I know some of that came with the game far out of reach, but it just really never felt like Phoenix had a shot at this one. It just really didn't. So props to the Cavaliers for giving us a game that this should be good for the confidence against a Phoenix team that, while they're not what they once were, they still have some really good pieces on the offensive side that can make life difficult on you. And for me, Devin Booker struggling as much as he did tonight, that made me feel great. Booker would finish the game with 15 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, was just 6 of 14 from the field, but he had as many field goals as he had turnovers. Let that sink in. As many turnovers, should I say, as he did field goals. So all the offense he provided was kind of undone by the turnovers that he committed. It was far from a perfect game from him. And then Kevin Durant. I mean, what are you going to do against a player like Kevin Durant? They tried to throw Dean Wade at him. And for the most part, because that's a tough assignment, tough as hell. And Dean Wade did make Durant work. He took more than a few contested attempts over Wade throughout, especially in the early going. And I was pretty satisfied with the defense that was being played. But honestly, the Cavaliers threw many bodies at him. There was Wade, there was Allen, Niang, Tristan Thompson, who we'll talk about here in a little bit. But none of it truly seemed to shut him down. The keys with Durant most of the time, though, is to either contain him or let him go off and contain his supporting cast. And tonight, Durant would finish with 23 points and 7 boards on a pretty efficient 9 of 16 from the field. But every attempt that he took, man, whether it be in the painted area like a midi or out towards the long two type of range, the Cavaliers put hands in his face. They made sure that every single attempt that he had was a difficult one. And that is basically all you can ask for when you're playing an offensive talent like that of Kevin Durant. Nick Richards, like I said, although it was a tough day for him, he did try and make his physicality known early on, as he would block a Dean Wade dunk attempt at the rim that kind of looked like a foul to me, but he didn't get it. They didn't give it to him. And then he knocked Wade down with a hard offensive foul on the other end. So he tried to bring some physicality to a Phoenix Suns team that frankly needs it. And I think that he will be fine as the season wears on. I think that that move was the right move for them because they need some help rebounding, frankly, and they did not have an interior rim deterrent. And I think Richards, while he is not necessarily known as a top of the line defender, a top of the line rim deterrent, I think that he can definitely help them in both of those areas. We already saw him do that in his debut. Like I said, 20 plus point, double-digit rebound, a double-double that he had in his debut. It was also nice to see Max, drawing the first start of the season, drill multiple triples. Tonight was actually the sixth game of the season in which he had 3 or more triples. That means he has drilled 3 or more triples in 6 of his now 14 appearances. The man is back. It was so nice to see Max Strus do what he did tonight. And then he kicked off the second half with 2 absolutely beautiful movement triples. This guy, when he is on the move, when he's going around screens or when he's out in transition, he is just money. And it is beautiful to watch play out. And that's exactly how he started off the second half. And then, man, how can I not mention the likes of Jaylen Tyson? Jaylen Tyson, this is a guy who people are going to continuously lump into a Cam Johnson deal, frankly, because Brooklyn, when they're looking up and down at the assets in the roster that we have, the one that sticks out to them is clearly Jaylen Tyson, who boasts a ton of potential, isn't really in the rotation when the roster is at full strength and everybody's available to Kenny Atkinson. But each time we've seen Jaylen Tyson, whether it's been a large spot of minutes or not, he does something that intrigues you. And tonight, I thought he had a major impact, and he did it on both ends of the floor. And he would finish with a stat line of 10 points and 5 rebounds on 3 of 4 from the field, including 2 of 3 from three-point distance. But that just does not do how impactful he was justice, because I genuinely felt like he had numerous defensive stands, good possessions on that end of the floor, and then he was moving the ball offensively. He was moving around the court like you would expect him to. So it was nice. It was nice to see him go out there and have that performance, especially after we continue to hear numerous rumors about how interested Brooklyn is in Tyson and being included in any potential Cam Johnson deal. And to be honest with you, I'm not so sure, because people have been asking me left and right, if we made a deal for Cam Johnson, would I be comfortable with including Jaylen Tyson? For Cam Johnson, would I be comfortable including Jaylen Tyson? And honestly, I'm just not sure. I would hate to see either him or Isaac Okoro included in any potential deal for Cam Johnson. But I do understand why you would want to go ahead and just pull the trigger on that. And I tend to lean that I would pull the trigger if he was available for Tyson. But I also get the argument for why the Cavaliers would want to say, nah, I think we like what we have here. This is going to cost too much. There are arguments to be made on both sides in that case. But man, Tyson, he kind of proved today why he is such an interesting developmental piece. And I think if given actual run, because tonight with all the rotation players out and Levert and Mobley and Okoro, all those guys being out, Tyson was able to play 15 huge minutes. And as a rookie, his minutes have been very, very sporadic this season. So I was really wondering what Kenny Atkinson would do from a rotational standpoint. With all those guys out, he went 10 deep essentially. Tristan Thompson, who had a very, very impactful game, especially on the glass. George Niang, Sam Merrill, who without Levert and Okoro out there got a big minutes boost. Ty Jerome, who's been very, very impactful as of late, and Jaylen Tyson as that 10th man. And Kenny actually went to his 10th man in Tyson early on in the second, which I frankly did not expect. But I kind of loved it because, one, you're not having to lean on the stars as much, as nobody played more than Donovan Mitchell's 30 minutes in a season that's been filled with a lot of rest for the starting five. Darius Garland only played 25 minutes. Jarrett Allen only played 22. And in those 22 minutes, he would finish with a 12-point, 11 rebound double-double. Max Strus, again, making the first starts of the season, 9 points in 21 minutes on 3 of 8 from the field, all 8 of those attempts coming from three-point range. It was good. It continues to be a season in which the guys are not being taxed and they're not playing heavy minutes. And that just was not the case in years prior during the JB Bickerstaff era. They went 10 deep as early as the second quarter, and you kind of love to see that. And all these pieces are contributing in various ways. You had Tyson doing it on both ends. You had Jerome being that orchestrator off the bench without Karis LeVert out there. You had Sam Merrill drilling triples, looking like he's got his confidence back. You got George Niang. Again, in Evan Mobley's absence, I don't think people are aware of just how dependable, that's the word I'm going to use. I know people have a love-hate or really just a hate-hate relationship with George Niang, but I don't think people are aware of just how impactful that he has been in the absence of Mobley. In the 3 games, like I said, that Mobley has missed prior to tonight, Niang was averaging 13.7 rebounds and shooting well over 60%, including 56.3% from three-point distance. And he was playing 25.4 minutes per game in those appearances. Now tonight, 23 minutes, 8 points, 6 rebounds, 2 of 3 from three-point range, 3 of 6 from the field overall, and was a plus 18. Niang has been genuinely impactful compared to when Mobley is out there. And that's not to say that Niang is not impactful at all when Mobley's in the lineup, period. But when you compare the stat lines, you can see the clear difference. When Mobley plays, Niang is averaging 8.2 points, 3.4 rebounds, and 46.5% from the field, including 36.6% from range in just 19.8 minutes per game. So you can definitely see the difference in how impactful he can be. And I know it is what it is on the defensive end, but even there, I think that people tend to overreact to how to how he looks on that end. There will inevitably be matchups that do not favor Niang. I mean, that's just the reality of the situation. But on most nights, Niang is actually giving you high level impact as a reserve for, because that's the position that he's most lined up at, and he's spacing the floor. So he's giving you some lineup versatility with Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen. And being able to have one true big on the floor. And Niang is a key reason why those tend to work, because he can legitimately give you a floor stretching presence out there in the front court, which the team had needed prior to his acquisition. Last season, from a statistical standpoint, he wasn't terrible, but the defense that he played was often highlighted, and the playoffs did not help, right? This season, it feels like a completely different Cavaliers team. In many respects. And George, he's at the forefront of that. There goes Alexa. He's at the forefront of that on the off the bench. So it's been nice to see him have kind of a rebound of a season in most respects. But man, this game, it truly never felt like the Suns had a chance. The Cavaliers at halftime led 59 to 46, 13-point lead. And they did a great job at putting pressure on the rim with those dribble drives and out on the perimeter, right? They were drilling shots left and right. And I know this was not the most efficient night from one Donovan Mitchell, 11 of 25 from the field, 4 of 9 from three-point range. But the penetration that they had, it was nice to see. It was really, really nice to see, especially in a season where people are questioning. I myself have questioned at times, man, Donovan Mitchell doesn't look like he has that same explosiveness especially when trying to finish around the rim. And I genuinely felt like he's been doing that these last 2 games. And we've already seen how others have kind of stepped up in the wake of that, of him looking like that. When you're talking about Darius Garland, he would finish with 16, 2 and 7 on 6 of 13 from the field, including 3 of 5 from 3-point range in just 25 minutes. It just never felt like Phoenix was in this one. And it helped that Cleveland got off to an 11-2 run to open the third frame, and they built as much as a 25-point lead in that third before Phoenix inevitably, they threw the white flag up, right? And we got to see players like Bull out there, but they never led by more than 1. So this game was essentially over very, very early, and it was a wire-to-wire victory as far as I'm concerned. And if you need a reminder of how dominant they can be, look no further than a sequence at the 7:20 mark in the third, in which they generated 3 straight second-chance opportunities off a team rebounding. DG got 1 offensive rebound, and then Jarrett Allen got 2 offensive rebounds, and basically 1 possession. And they ended up putting the nail in the coffin with a pair of ridiculously difficult triples at the end of the third, up 23 with a score of 93-70. Donovan, man, he just had some crazy circus-like shots. It was really awesome to see him go out there and play the way that he did. So props to Donovan Mitchell for now turning in 2 stellar back-to-back performances. Although Darius did not come out looking like an all-star tonight at points, I genuinely felt that all of his minutes were impactful. It should be noted that over his last 10 games prior to tonight, he was averaging 23.1 points, 7.8 assists, and 2.4 rebounds. You look at just some of the individual performances tonight, and that should have everybody really, really excited. But I'll tell you something that I was really proud of. Was the defense that was being played by Sam Merrill. I don't know if anybody else noticed him on the defensive end, but man, Sam, despite not necessarily having his shots for a long stretch now, he is starting to get that confidence back. He would finish tonight with 10 points, 2 rebounds, 3 of 9 from the field, including 2 of 6 from 3-point range. But I've been saying all season long, I've been beating the table all season long and saying Sam Merrill is more than just a shooter. And I know the stat lines will not often reflect that, but he has been genuinely impactful on the defensive end. I feel like he is a quality facilitator. He can find guys in stride out there, especially as they're cutting towards the rim. He's a good connective piece of tissue. And people would realize that even when his shot isn't falling, he can still add value. It's not quite Max Strus level, because I say the same thing about Max Strus. When Strus's shot is not falling, he genuinely can add in other areas. He is a good facilitator. He is a pretty good positional rebounder. He is not terrible on the defensive end. He will hustle out there. And frankly, both of these guys generate a high level of gravity, surely by the movement alone. Defenders know that they have to chase these guys around screens. They have to be aware of where they are on the perimeter. Both of them are underrated cutters. They add in other ways than shooting, and I think people just get too lost in that. And because all of these guys can be streaky, all of them can go through slumps. But when that happens, it's important to be able to add that value in other areas. And I do genuinely feel like Sam Merrill does that. And so I was really proud to see him go out there and play some solid minutes. But if I was proud of anybody, if anybody earns my earns my MVP of the night, despite numerous good performances, I think I got to give it to Tristan Thompson. Tristan Thompson finished with one of the odder stat lines that we will ever see. In 26 minutes of play, Tristan Thompson contributed 1 point. I shit you not. 1 point, 10 rebounds, big time, 3 assists, 1 block, 1 steal, was a plus 13 on the night. He went 0 of 2 from the field, 0 of 1 from 3-point range, 1 of 4 from the charity stripe. It was such an odd stat line to see on paper, but when you saw it on the courts, you saw how impactful he can be against certain matchups. Now, Tristan, you never want to go into a game relying on Tristan being your third big. And Kenny, he had no choice tonight. Playing against a big body in Nick Richards, playing against a big body in Mason Plumlee, only having Jarrett Allen available to you as the one other true big on the roster. You had to go with Tristan Thompson, see what he can give you. I did not expect Tristan to play 26 minutes tonight. Some of that was in garbage time, but he was really, really impactful, especially on the glass. Like I said, 10 rebounds overall for him in this one. And the defense that he was able to play on the likes of Kevin Durant at times at the rim. And like I said, you put just about anybody you want to on KD, and he's going to cook most players. But Tristan, I genuinely felt really, really gave some solid defensive possessions out there tonight. When the defensive stats are posted, I will definitely probably clip together a highlight reel of, how impactful he was in terms of DFGAs or defensive field goals, right? I think that it's important to be able to have that depth, and they showcase that when you're down in Evan Mobley, it's okay to turn to your deep roster, your deep options here, and Tristan Thompson certainly counts as such. But I did not expect the type of impact tonight that we got from him, especially against a Phoenix Suns team that can really burn you in terms of some of the individual scoring talents out there. And Tristan really gave it his all. There was some possessions out there. I was like, okay, there's nothing you can do. Double T is going to get cooked either way. But I did not expect him to hold up as well as he did and play as much as he did tonight in those 26 minutes. So he is my MVP of the game, and that was really cool to see. Outside of that, there really wasn't much more to discuss. The Cavaliers, something else that should be noted, now back-to-back games in which they finished in the single digits in terms of turnovers. They would turn the ball over just 8 times tonight and forced 17 Phoenix Suns turnovers. Now, I know it felt like the world, was ending and the sky was falling when we were playing OKC and when we were playing Indiana in both matchups, and it felt like the ball was getting turned over every other possession. But since then, against 2 separate teams in the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Phoenix Suns, the Cavaliers have been taking care of the basketball. The 8 turnovers that they had tonight only led to 7 points off of turnovers for Phoenix. And on the opposite end, the 17 turnovers that the Cavaliers forced led to 15 points off of turnovers for Cleveland. So the shoe was on the other foot. And that was a key reason why Phoenix was never able to build a bigger lead than one single lonely point. So we should all feel really good about the balance here. And the Cavaliers, they just don't turn the ball over that often. So it's good to have back-to-back performances in which that is not being highlighted. It's also great that they shot 41% from the three-point line, another game in which they've gone above 40%. They drilled 19 triples tonight. Everybody got in on the action. They got to the charity stripe quite frequently, 17 of 23 on free throw attempts. They won the assist battle 22-27. They pulled down 50 rebounds, which honestly I was a little worried about with Evan being out, but they team rebounded, and I thought that that was definitely going to be a point of emphasis, especially with how good the Cavaliers can be on a game-to-game basis. And don't get me wrong, the Phoenix Suns are terrible. They are absolute ass on the glass. It is not like the Cavaliers are world beaters, but they're pretty good, especially without Evan Mobley. It's uncanny. It's kind of weird. In the 3 games that he had missed prior to tonight, the Cavs actually pulled down 45.7 rebounds per game. But I was a little wary going into this one with some pretty good rebounders on the other side. Nick Richards, Kevin Durant is not a terrible rebounder, and neither is Mason Plumlee. But yeah, as a team, I thought they got out there and they got on the glass. And Tristan Thompson, he definitely ate up tonight in that regard. So, what else can you say outside of this was just an absolute ass kicking? And it's good to see the Cavaliers get back into the swing of winning, get back into their winning ways. And now they have won 2 straight. They're on top of the NBA standings, and I hope that that continues as the Cavaliers have a matchup with the Houston Rockets on Wednesday. That should be another huge battle. You got some really good pieces over there. They got some length that they can throw at you. They have playmaking presence in Alvaro Şengün, Fred VanVleet and company. So that should be a good matchup. All that said, let's hop into the comment section here. Michael Scoopska says, yet another one bites the dust, collecting bounties out west. Hailstone says, why are the Suns so bad? I think that they're not necessarily bad, but they're not good either. They're a middle of the pack team. They are now 21-21. Cleveland entered tonight with 35 wins. They're now 36-6. They're just not in the same league as this Cavaliers team. That wasn't the case in years past, but so many moves that they have tried to make to finagle their way into title contention, it's not worked, man. That three-headed monster that they thought that they were getting in Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal, it just ain't. It ain't doing it, right? The math ain't mathing over there. And it's a big reason why Bradley Beal has been moved to the bench. He's come off the bench now in 7 straight games, if I'm not mistaken. And in those 7 games, in the 6 prior games that Beal had come in as a reserve, he was only averaging 16.3 points, 4 assists, and 3.2 rebounds. And I know that that sounds like a lot, but he's been playing a lot of minutes as a reserve. He's essentially a 6th starter, if you will. He's playing starters minutes. And was that the case tonight? No, just 25 for him. But in those 25 minutes, he would only contribute 5 points. I would say the Cavaliers just absolutely demoralize these guys, hence the title of the podcast. The three-headed monster that they thought they were getting, it's just not getting the job done. So I expect more moves to be made in the upcoming offseason. They just don't have a lot of flexibility. They don't have draft capital. They have a crazy payroll. I don't know what they're going to do, frankly. And that's why you keep hearing rumors about Beal being in the market. I really don't know what they're going to do, but I know that is not a problem that Cleveland faces right now. We have all of our guys kind of locked in, at least the core, and we have some good pieces off the bench that are also under contract for the next couple of seasons. But I know everybody is going to be wondering and what's going to happen with Cam Johnson, or if the Cavaliers are going to make a move by the deadline. And while I would love to answer that for people, I don't know. All I know is that the Cavaliers are in a good place. And if they are able to acquire a player the caliber of a Cam Johnson, I just hope that it does not cost them too much. Who knows? Kobe Altman, though, he's pulled off some miraculous things in the past, getting the likes of Jarrett Allen for essentially nothing. Getting Donovan Mitchell to town when a lot of people did not think that that was going to be possible. I trust him. And I'm going to continue to trust him until this whole thing comes crashing down, which hopefully that does not become the case. With that said, as I always tell you guys, if you'd like to reach out to me, you know how you can. It's Cavalier_pod on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and more. If you want to be added to this Cavalier Discord chat, you know what to do. Leave a rating, leave a review, send a screenshot I said review to itscavalier53@gmail.com, and I will send you said invite. If you're watching over on X, do your boy a favor, hit that like button over on YouTube. Subscribe if you're not yet a subscriber to this Cavalier podcast, and that notification bell as well, so you know when I'm going live. I'm now going live after every single game this season. All 42 games now, I think. All 42 games. It could be 43. I don't know. I'm lost over here. But I've gone live after every single game. I do not anticipate that changing, and hope you guys have a good week. Go Caps.